everyone, I'm Daggers, and welcome to Midweek News. The new year is coming around the corner, and this is usually a time when people reflect on their activities over the last year and like what they did and what they might want to change. You know, change for the better. And I know in my case for video games, I tend to just blast my way through, killing countless enemies, not even really thinking about it. But I know one person who hasn't had that problem, and his name is Kyle Hinckley, aka The Weirdest, who completed Fallout 4 without any kills. 0 kills on survival mode. There was a report on PC Gamer that, or an article on PC Gamer that talked about it, and I will put a link in the description to his channel if you want to watch it. It's very interesting. It's a 37-part Let's Play of him going through it. There's a lot of reloading because anytime that you fail a speech check, you have to do it again because you gotta go through the entire game without killing anyone. There are some areas where I would be interested to see how he gets past them. And I know I'm probably going to check it out, but I just wanted to let all you know that this guy is, and like what he's done with Fallout 4, and I think it's well worth your time to go check him out. Last week there was a lot of talk about a Russian man who sued Bethesda over Fallout 4 being too addictive, and he lost his job and his wife because he claims that he could not stop playing Fallout 4 because it was too addictive. And a lot of people have been giving him a hard time about the fact that, you know, if you really wanted to stop playing it, you should have just stopped playing it. And really, it's only his fault that he was too addicted to it. I don't know if it was his fault that he was too addicted to it. That might be stretching it. It's more that it's not Bethesda's fault that he was addicted to it. I think that's more of the case that can be made. There's been a study about brain connectivity with adolescents that have been diagnosed with internet gaming disorder. This was a U.S.-Korean study, and the findings are kind of interesting. One of them is that, not really surprising to us gamers, but while playing video games, these adolescents with this disorder have increased cognitive functions. They have more coordination, and their focus is increased, by an alarming amount. Because the study included adolescents with this disorder and adolescents without this disorder, and compared the two. And what they were finding was those that had the disorder had much higher levels of coordination and focus when playing the video games. And so that makes sense. You know, people who play all the time will know that they have better abilities to play a video game. I mean, that just makes sense to me. I don't think that's really that surprising. There is one thing to be said about the study, though. So there are one key aspect of this that is highly negative for those with the disorder, and this might be where the disorder stems from, is there was increased connectivity between the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex and the temporoparietal parietal. I'm not gonna. The junction in the brain. I'm just gonna say that. I can't say the words. I'll link the article and the where you can see the article or see the study in the description below. If you really want to go into that much more detail, the big thing about this is that it's the same distinction researchers have found with individuals that have schizophrenia, Down syndrome, and autism, and poor impulse control. So it's interesting that people with psychological problems have, this is the same thing. So addiction with video games is very similar to this. So the next thing that scientists need to discover or need to study up on is the addiction or the disorder caused by video games, or is it just individuals who are inherently more likely to become addicted to these games. And so that will be the next study that they'll probably have to work on at some point. But I think that this disorder, this internet gaming disorder, needs to be treated with as much seriousness as other mental disorders. And we need to not just ridicule people for being too addicted to games, and it actually may be treated as a medical concern. That being said, going back to the Russian man suing Bethesda over Fallout 4's addictiveness, I am inclined to agree that it's a bit of a stretch to blame the addiction on the game, because so far, as we've discussed, there is no correlation to video games being addictive. So that's I think in a court of law that comes into play. So until we know more about it, it's impossible to say whether it's the game itself that can be heavily addicting and cause people to literally spend hours of their day. At the point of, in its most severe form, like people forgetting to eat. Like, that is big. It's just something that needs to be looked at further, and I hope at some points there's more studies done about gaming addiction, because it is a problem for some people, and I think it needs to be treated as a serious problem. So during the Christmas holiday, Steam got a little present. And that present consisted of a caching issue, which caused the glitch that allowed people to randomly see other people's user account information on Steam. And this issue lasted for about an hour until Steam turned off everything. And they turned off everything for 3 to 4 hours. It was a rather long time. I remember coming home after my Christmas, after spending some time with my family. In the morning, which has normally been our tradition, instead of having Christmas dinner, which usually people do, my family has Christmas breakfast, and we eat breakfast, and then we open presents, and then we hang around till lunch. We just kind of chow down on different things, and then in the afternoon, I went back home, and I went to go on to Steam to go play maybe a video game or something, and it was out. So my experience was by the time I got home, and it was like a few hours later, it was back up and everything was fine. It was all in working order. You could no longer see other people's personal information, which was a good thing. You don't want your personal information getting out there. And that was a big fiasco for Steam. And this might actually lead to a lawsuit of some kind. Now, I haven't heard anything about lawsuits so far, but I would not be surprised if there was a lawsuit, because when you're dealing with people's personal information, you gotta make sure it's secure. When it's not secure, it usually comes onto the fault of the people that are running the servers. So I would not be surprised if that becomes an issue later down in the road. We will have to wait and see what happens. So far, it looks like no information has been used, like personal information has been used against anyone, and it looks like that no damage has been done. Everything's been resolved, and no one's been noticing anything wrong with their accounts. No one's noticed that their money was spent without their permission. So far so good, but that doesn't mean that there isn't actually some issues. So I'm be curious to see like what else there could be that Steam could do. I do know that while people were looking at the personal information, they could not edit it. That was good, because if people could start editing other people's information, that could lead to a whole lot of issues there as well. So so far so good again, and I hope Steam fixes this issue and makes sure it doesn't happen again. So that's been your midweek news. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I hope you enjoyed 2015 as we look forward to 2016 and what could happen in games. This year's been pretty good with games. I know a lot of people made top 10 lists of the year and bottom 10 lists of the year for video games. Since I have only been doing this for like 7 months, and I don't really play that many games, and I decided, especially I don't play a lot of new release games, and so it's kind of hard for me to create a top 10, bottom 10 list for Steam, but I'm hoping next year. Also, I'm really looking forward to 2016. I'm looking forward to like seeing what I can do with the channel. I have some big ideas. I have some small ideas. I have some middle ideas. All three of those categories being basically I just have some ideas that I'll do at some point. I don't know, whatever. But I hope you enjoy the holiday season, and I hope you enjoy the new year. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next year.